What is going on, everyone? You are seeing it on my screen here, and I'm sure you're on YouTube, so you've probably already seen it in your feed, but it is official now that Eagle McMahon has announced he is leaving Discmania for the 2024 season. Now, I don't have any kind of inside connections to anything or anyone on the Pro Tour. I'm just a disc golf fan and a content creator and someone who loves the sport. So I wanted to hop on and give my thoughts on more so where I hope he goes than where I think he'll go. Because again, I don't have any kind of idea on why he would go to a specific company. So I'm just going to give my thoughts on where I hope he goes, because Eagle McMahon is a phenomenal player. He's known for having a huge arm. He's done some unbelievable things just in the few years that I've been in the sport. So let's dive into it. And I'm going to be upfront and brutally honest. I am just piggybacking off of Brody Smith's idea that Eagle McMahon would trek over to the MVP network and become a MVP sponsored player. Like Brody Smith said, MVP already has James Conrad, who is kind of the face of the actual MVP discs. And then as of last year, 2023, with the signing of Simon Lizotte, they had somebody that could represent the Axiom side of things. The other full brand that's part of the MVP network that doesn't have as much representation on the Pro Tour is Streamline Disc. And it's their take on single mold technology. So it doesn't have the double overmold gyro rim. It's just their kind of quote unquote standard discs. So why I think Streamline would be a perfect fit for Eagle McMahon is, first off, like I just mentioned, Streamline doesn't have that big face of their discs. Eagle McMahon would be able to get in there and kind of just fully represent a single mold version of MVP discs. Now, from some people that I've talked to and some of the comments I've seen online, a lot of the people I see that don't really prefer or like MVP or overmolded disc it's always mentioned the rim. It's either the flatness of the disc or the rim. I think another obvious reason for MVP being the target for Eagle McMahon to go to is the connection he already has with Simon Lizotte, with them being the Crush Boys and throwing Discmania all these years, and then Simon coming over to MVP and kind of, like I said, representing that Axiom side of things. Eagle McMahon would be probably more than welcome to come over to the MVP Pro team and kind of represent Streamline. I think that would be a great place for him to set up his own signature line series of discs. And then that would probably be able to not only siphon over a lot of the Discmania throwers that were there because of Eagle McMahon. A lot of those would come over to throwing MVP/Streamline discs in that scenario. I think that would help generate some interest into people that really just simply don't like the overmolded rim. If they really just like a single mold disc, having that signature player that you know you're going to get some quality molds coming out of with Streamline, I think would be a great idea, a great marketing aspect of this. Okay, so if you're not familiar with the MVP network, it basically comes down to 3 quote unquote separate companies under the MVP umbrella. It's all one company as far as I know and I'm aware, but just to break it down so you know what disc belongs to which individual manufacturer under that umbrella, it's easy to tell just by looking at them. So here on the screen, we're on the MVP side of the website. So these are all the actual MVP discs themselves, and it's easy to tell them because they always have the overmold rim here, this double rim, and it's always going to be a black rim. Now, the only caveat to that could be if you get into like the R2 recycled plastics, or if you get into like the glow plastics, that may not be the case. They may have a different color rim under that. But just for their standard disc right here, you can see on the screen, these all have the black rim. And then if you move over to Axiom, which is primarily what I throw myself, if you take a look at their discs, they have the same overmold, but theirs always has the colored rim. So anything that's not black. And again, you're going to fall into the same caveat that probably if you look at like an Eclipse, a glow plastic, that you may end up getting into having like a white rim or something like that. But generally speaking, the colored rim, that's an easy way to tell that it's an Axiom disc. And then finally, you have Streamline Disc, and this is where Brody Smith had mentioned, they kind of need a face for their product, and Eagle McMahon could go over there and represent that, and I think it would be fantastic. These are single mold discs; they don't have that double rim, and as you can see here. And Streamline has by far the smallest portfolio of discs, I guess we'd call it. So a Streamline only having 10 discs here, there's a lot of room for growth there. I think Eagle McMahon, he's still young, even though he's been on tour. I think watching his video, he said he's been on tour for 9 years. Again, I've only been in disc golf for 2.5 years myself, but just from watching it, I mean, he's still so young. I think he's 25 or 26 years old. He can come over to Streamline. They could really give him his own line of discs and really get that side of things running, because it's rare. I never hear Streamline mention anything. And even with me, when I started playing disc golf in 2021, and I was looking to try all these different MVP discs because those are the ones that I found that I liked. The Streamline Lift Special Edition had just come out, and I absolutely love it. The Lift is a great disc. Trace is another great disc. These are some discs that I have bagged in the past, and I tend to drift towards throwing the Axiom stuff just because I like the looks of their disc more. But yeah, Streamline has a lot of good discs. All right, yeah, so that wraps it up. I just wanted to hop on real quick since I saw his official announcement and give my take, my hopes on where Eagle McMahon goes. Streamline would be a perfect fit for him. I think that brand really just hasn't had any representation, so there's no face to that brand yet. He could come in and be that young face. He's still got a lot of road ahead of him in his pro tour, and I think it'd be pretty exciting to watch him throw some MVP plastics. But let me know down in the comments where you think or where you hope he's going, and we will see you in the next video.